Right, am I recording? Yes. I got 20 minutes into my new recording and realized I somehow hadn't pushed the record button. So here we go again. So here's where I left off the arm. Unfortunately, I apologize. The audio, something went wrong for the last few minutes of that video. You didn't really miss anything. I'll show you what I have now. So I'm just gonna liven up this arm because this is, I had to close my and do all sorts of stuff. So there's my arm. I'll get the quad draw back just so it goes nice and blue for us. So there's the arm. I mean, I covered most of what I wanted to cover before the audio went out. I just cleaned this up, and I think all I said was I'm going to put this on pause and I'm just going to go clean it up, and then whatever, I'll talk about it when I get back. So fortunately, I couldn't come back, but this is what I've got. So I just straightened the lines up, a couple of key points here in case I didn't get it onto the audio because I can't remember exactly what made it on and didn't, but I made these lines vertically straight. I actually snap aligned them, and then I cleaned up the flow a little bit. So I reduced it down to 8. I think 8's sufficient. I can get away with that. I can define this arm reasonably well. It's not perfect, right? I am missing a few points here and there because they're not quite touching the outer edge and stuff, but it's really close. And I like how clean it is. It's pretty clean. And if afterwards I can come in and maybe adjust to sort of widen these for sort of define a bit more of a larger bicep or something if I need to. Critical points, again, 3 edge loops for the elbow joint, and I have 3 edge loops already here ready to go for this the shoulder joint. So I got 1, 2, 3, and then we'll have 4, 5, whatever in the shoulder. So and then that's it. I just kind of cleaned up the flow. I adjusted the verts. I wanted them to be fairly straight, fairly nice, fairly organized as far as the flow goes, and that's it. I'm not going to really add anything else at this stage. There may come a time when I'm going to add some loops for the elbow. So remember, we can extrude those out, but that's for later. For now, I just wanted to block out the base mesh. And it is a little bit, you can see we're off. Like, it'd be nice if we had a line here to pull out and do whatever. So that's an option later. If I come in, I might just double this to 16 just by inserting new edge loops all the way around, and that will really help define the edges. So we'll see. I'm going to leave it at 8. I'm going to do the whole thing kind of like this, as light as I can, and then I'm going to come back afterwards and say, can I go to 16, or do I need to go to 32, or is it fine at 8? So that's sort of the thinking there. So the arm is done. I threw it into the Q arm here into a display layer, and let's just delete the history on this. And this is going to be my left Q arm geo. So my left Q for quad, just my quad draw arm versus just my regular arm. And I have it in this Q arm display layer, and then I have the regular arm down here. So I'm going to turn it unlive. I don't know what that means. I'm going to make it dead or something. And then we're going to move on to the lower body. So for the lower body, it's going to be something similar, right? We're going to make it live with quad draw, and the only trick here is it's pretty much like the arm. So it is kind of like maybe one tick up from the arm, because we do have to deal with this inguinal canal, this 45-degree angle, this, our edge loops when we're modeling. One of our precepts for that is that the edge loops should follow the underlying structure, and we know that we have this bony pelvis structure. You got this crest of the iliac up here, and it kind of runs up on an angle. So we do definitely, like, this is still pretty flat. So we want to accentuate that a little bit more. You don't have to go too crazy. She's wearing a dress and a bunch of other stuff. So it's not that we're going to see it. It's not the same as if she was wearing tights or jeans or, superhero lycra or something like that, where we'd have to be pretty precise with how the leg bends. It's going to be covered. So as long as it's, reasonably okay, then that's all we're after. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do it slightly differently. I'm going to grab the geo, I'm going to make it live. I'm going to get my quad draw, and I'm going to go in the front view to start. And I am going to draw like 2 rows of dots is really what I'm after here. So I'm going to start kind of in here. Maybe I'll x-ray this so you can see it better. So I'm going to start like on this kind of point here. So just where the pelvis and the leg kind of meet, right? So we're going to want to run a line just under here. That's going to be our first loop. So I'm just going to maybe start, I don't know, let's just start, let's start here. It's fine. So I'm going to drop a dot down, and then I'm kind of shooting, I think, for 16. So it's a bit hard, but I'm going to just space these out. So I'm going to make them fairly large to start with, and I'm going to try and trace kind of the line that I want to have. So I'm going to follow this up. And then now that I've done that in the front view, I kind of started the guide here. I'm going to pop into perspective and then keep going. So we kind of got that. I'm going to maybe bring this one down just a little bit, and I'm going to go over, and I want to tuck under the butt here, and then just going around in between the legs here. And it's going to be hard in there, but let's put 2 in here. Okay, so I'm going to start with this one. So I'm going to count that one. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. So I have 13 verts right now. So probably 16 would be good. And so that means I could add 3 in here. So I'm going to bring these in a bit. I'm going to add 1 in here. So that's 1. This is going to be 2. And it looks like maybe under here, I'll add 3. So now we have, and they're fairly equally spaced. Not bad. Can adjust their actual positions, like, a little bit after once we build the surface in. So let's try and count. I'm going to do another count. So that's the first one. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, I believe. So we're at 16. So that just needs to average these a little bit more. Just to make sure that we're nicely spaced. It's like most things, you spend a bit more time on the boring planing stuff. Makes your life easier later. Oof, got a lot back here. Yeah, all right. Oop, all right, so that's my row. I think it's 16. I'll count them on my way out now. So I'm gonna go, okay, well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Look at me. I can count to 16. All right, so there they are. They're probably going to narrow when they get between the legs, so I'm just going to pull these up anyways, just to narrow them, and then they could kind of spread out when they go up into this hip area. Yeah, there you go. And then now it's just a matter of just using shift and, highlighting where you want this to be, and yeah, filling it in. So I'm just going to tumble around here, shifting my way through. And then once we, as always, have one of these in, all colored in here, all these faces done, then we can go and adjust the lines and see how they look. And yeah, you can see they're all kind of chunky and whatnot. So let's do a bit of adjusting now. I want to straighten some of the stuff out, I think. So kind of want to have more or less straightish lines through here. It's not the biggest sort of hip rise, but it's not bad either. So I think we're good. Just kind of trying to line these up a bit, so they're kind of going to give me straightish lines down the leg. We'll adjust these again after the fact a little bit. Once we do a first row, we can see how this is how that's going. So there you go, done. Okay, so I'm going to try one now. So I'm going to go tab and I'm going to try and pull this edge up. Ooh, it doesn't want to. Why don't you want to? That's better. I don't want to go too far because this is, it does it symmetrically and that's not what we're after because it's going to kind of do that, which is not what we want. So now I'm going to, maybe I'll just hit Q, exit the tool, and I'm just going to get the rotates and I'm going to try and bring these together and even this one. So we definitely want them to pinch together more so in the middle. And if we need to, make our rotating adjustments or whatever, then we can do that. And if we have to move verts, we can do that as well. So I'm just trying to spread this out a little bit. And I'm going to have to grab these verts as well. And what did you do there, vertex? Right. And let's bring that down a bit. Let's bring that down a bit. Let's bring that up a bit. All right. So again, probably super boring watching me just tweak verts like this. But there's our start kind of rows. Maybe I'll do one more. So I'm going to go into object mode, highlight my quad draw topology. Almost looks like I wish I had one in there, but and then back into your quad draw tool and it'll come back. And then again, I can hold down tab and I want to extrude out here. It's the same deal. I don't want to go too far because now I just want to rotate this up so that they start to expand. So we definitely want them to bunch up between the legs and then open up on the outside. We're trying to keep these kind of similar as we go through. Back into object mode, back into quad draw, and then if we need to tweak individual points, which it looks like we do, I can just come in here now and just make some adjustments. So it's just, add a little bit, adjust, add a little bit. Don't just get carried away and just start extruding straight out. Like doing 6 or 7 of these at once or something. We definitely want to keep on it by just doing one and then adjusting and then doing one and adjusting. So let me do a few more of these off camera and then I'll come back and then we can discuss what I did. Okay, so I'll see you in a second. Okay, so I just you can see I removed half of the leg. It was really hard to get into work under here, so I just went in the front view. I deleted half, and then I snap aligned this border edge. So I do have a proper straight border edge, and it is snapped to the midline. So this is my proper center line guide for when I'm near my geometry. And then I just kind of went around and I kind of cleaned up the flow a little bit. I tried to space it out. I tried to like clean up the lines so that they kind of make sense from most directions and it flows in a sort of pleasing sort of way. Um, and I also had to make space in between here because we do definitely want to have a loop that runs around the midline because remember we have to have a midline. So we don't just run these in. I'm going to draw in here and then I'm going to create a loop that goes up the midline and then that's going to connect into here and then the rest of these it should be able to just we should just be able to fill them in. So that's what I'm going to do next. I'm still in my quad draw and or yeah, I'm still in my quad draw. So I'm going to just come in here in the bottom and I'm going to start putting points like in at the edge here. So kind of trying to get them close to the border edge. We will snap align them and all that later. And that's probably about it there. And then again with the shift, I just want to fill that in. And that's going to be the row that we have. Remember, all separating objects, deformable objects like your fingers need to separate, your legs need to open up, your eyelids need to stretch, your mouth needs to open. We always want to have a couple of flat rows of geometry running through there. That's kind of one of our principles. So that's kind of done in there. And then from here, I'm just going to, chase this up in a way. So I'm going, I don't know why there's a point sitting out there. Just accidentally click there. So I'm going to come in here now and I'm just going to put in a line of points again, getting as close as I can to the border. Just it, you know, I can snap align these after. So there you go. And then I'm going to follow those down. So I'm just going to move over and then just kind of follow this line down to create a loop that runs down in between the legs. And let's try that. And then shift again. Oops, that wasn't shift. That was something else. Must be the F key, I think. Let's come back. Shift. There we go. And creating geometry. And then, now we can maybe just pull these over as far as they'll go. And then I'm just going to straighten this a little bit. Okay. Of course, we want to do the same thing on the backside. So on the backside, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put down a series of points here. So let's say 1 and then 2. They should be the same as on the front, or else we're not going to match them. So I should have counted them. But so I have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, that's a nice number. Okay, so I have 8 going up. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oof, really? Wonder if I should fill this one in, not count it. As if I do shift in here. Is that going to be okay? It looks a bit big, but okay, so now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. All right, that works. And then where are we? We're pretty far over, but I'm just going to come down a little bit closer. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I'm just going to move this point over a little bit. Just bend that in just so it's not quite so large, I guess. This face in here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a weird number to have. But all right, so let's fill these in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8, and then we can adjust the points a little bit. So just pull these up. I'm going to pull these all the way over to the border. I'm going to just see this line up here. And sure, why not? Just move these over a little bit too. And let's pull these points up to the border edge. Right. Okay, so there we go. So now I can fill this in. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 rows ready to go. And yeah, it's just a matter of filling that in and then extruding down for the leg. So I'll do one, and then I'll probably pause it and then I'll come back and show you the finished product, I guess. So the first one here is this is going to be my quad here. So I'm going to put a point down there. And then again, just so you can see, if I hold down shift, I mean, I have a lot of options for how this is going to get drawn up. Do I want, triangles, whatever? I want it to go there. And then all these loops are just going to follow through. Yeah, so I'm just going to trace this through once. And so I'm going to follow these dots around. And I think that's where I'm finishing. Yeah. And just tracing around here. Go around here. And yeah, so I'll just I'm going to tweak this out a little bit. I have to talk about some of the transitions in this corner right here, but let me clean this up. And then I'll come back and I'll show you how to finish this up. And then the bottom is pretty straightforward. It's just going to be tab and drag and tab and drag and tab and drag. And at some point, you're going to get some this stuff. So that's why I suggest adjusting at every point, because you can see now I've got a lot of points like, oh my God, this is going to be so much work to adjust. If I had just done one row and adjusted it and then one row, and then eventually it would have been fine. So I'm going to undo that just to show you that that's not quite the way we wanted to go. We want to do one row at a time, but let me pause and then I'll come back and I'll discuss the updates. All right, see you in a bit. All right, recording again. Yes. So I didn't want to go too far before I came back. So I'm just showing you. I just started to fill this part in instead of going all the way around and showing you how it connects. So again, I make sure you have the right number, same number of faces here as here, and then that way they'll just we'll just follow this and around. And I'm just trying to, as you can see, we have this line going up for the hip, but then as we kind of go up into the belly here, we definitely want to get back to having sort of parallel lines, and it's going to be the same as we go down the leg. We do have this kind of angle going up here that we're adjusting um, as we go and trying to clean up and that stuff. But once we get down the leg, it's just going to all be parallel again all the way down the leg. So that's the start of this. So a loop for the inguinal canal, a loop down the midline, connected up, and then the rest should just literally be fill in the blanks. So let me fill in the blanks and I'll come back when I've got this pelvis done. All right, so again, I'll see you in 2 secs. Recording again, and I'm back. And I just did a quick fill in because as I was doing this, I kind of realized that maybe I have maybe a couple too many loops in here because of how dense it's getting in the hip side. Like it looks okay here, but then they all kind of have to join here. And I just filled it in as quick as I could. Um, just to show you what I've got, but I'm probably going to remove a couple of rows of these, just especially I can hear. I think I might get rid of these 2 rows and then sort of move that up. I think that should be okay. I didn't really need to have 8 of them. And I'm gonna hit it probably with a bit of relax or something at the end and just smooth it out. But again, let me pause. Let me well, this shouldn't take that long. So let's see if I can do this on camera. So I'm gonna exit out of here, out of the tool. I'm gonna go to object mode. I will X-array and what did I say? Like this row and shift double click that row. Always control delete your edge loops. And then maybe un-X-ray this. Let's go. No, I should probably X-ray it. And then I'm going to take this row here, and I'm going to use the scale tool to just sort of flatten it a little bit to get it straighter. And then I'm going to just translate it up. And the live is still on, and so the slide is still on, and so the points are going to slide across the surface. So I don't have to worry about tweaking that part of it. I just need to, worry about getting it in the right spot or which object I'm using. And it's hard for me to see this, so I think I'm going to hide the lower body for a minute, and just so I can see what's going on. Right, so I'm just going to clean this up. I removed the 2 rows. It's much better for these larger surfaces that make up kind of the butt and the hip and the front of the pelvis, lower abdomen. So we definitely, we want to have loops around where the leg is going to bend, but even then, could maybe even get away with removing that one now that I see how dense all this is. Like we're going to have 4 really close together through here. So that's probably enough. So let's just see, control delete that edge loop. Yeah, I think I'm going to live with that. I think I'm going to remove that one as well. So I'm going to end up with like 3, maybe 4 here. So 1, 2, 3 for the hip 4, and then you can even include this one as a 5th one. So that's going to be my final topology for the pelvis, and I just need to hit it with a bit of, I mean, it can move individual points, but I'm going to try a bit of relax. Look at the history. Whew. Yeah. So let me do that, and maybe I'll do a little bit of the leg, and then we'll come back and we'll discuss. All right. So steps are, I removed it. It looks good. I'm just going to relax out the points just to kind of even this out because you can see they're all kind of crooked and nasty and I don't want to move them individually. And then I'm probably going to extrude it a little bit down the thigh and then we'll come back. All right, see you in a sec. Okay, recording again, and I'm back. And so I hit it with a bit of relax up here. Um, and then I had to do actually quite a bit of tweaking where I tweaked out, quite a few little verts after I did the relax because the relax, yeah, it'll average them out, but maybe not the way we want them to. So it's not a panacea. It's not going to fix all your problems just by doing a relax or a smooth. You will need to come in and kind of clean stuff up. So I've extruded a couple times down the leg, and I just want to keep these, fairly close up in here because those are the edges that we're going to use to skin to bend the leg. So I kind of tried to keep those, reasonably close together under here, and you can see the leg topology, like the way she's been modeled. These lines, they don't go straight down out of the body; they're coming back on an angle, which means that when I extrude this, so watch this. If I go tab and I go to pull out the next line, you can see how those edges start to converge, and that's because we're pulling straight down in world space, and our lines actually want to kind of go back and down. So it's going to require a little bit of every loop is going to require a tweak, and that's why I like to model in a T pose and rig it. Everything just makes life a lot easier, a little less tweaking. All these little minor things tend to add up, but hey, that's what we got to work with. So let me do one more extrude here to the top of the knee, and then it's literally I'm going around now and probably start. I have to pick a point. Okay, so I'm going to start there. I didn't mention, but I snapped the border edge down there. I left the quad draw tool, went into component mode, grabbed the bottom edge and snap aligned it in the front view so that I would have at least a sort of pseudo straight edge. Because as soon as, I mean, I say pseudo because as soon as I extrude it, I'm going to have to tweak it and then it's not going to be perfectly straight anymore. But that was the sort of logic behind that, is to just at least give me some sort of a guide where I can then at least be close to kind of an ideal. So I don't really want these to converge. I mean, if they do converge, which they probably are, I need them to do it in a nice kind of linear fashion, like come down, slowly get closer together. Right. So, and I'm kind of trying to go as large as I can. I can always insert edge loops in here if I need to, but again, it's a leg, it's a lower body. She has a dress or skirt on, so we're not going to see much below her. Just maybe her calves and her ankles and stuff. So, not super critical that we, make this super dense and deformable and all the rest of it. Sure. Looks about right. And yeah, I'll just keep going. Again, pretty boring to watch, so I'll pause it. I'm literally just going to go tab, and I'm just going to be extruding. So that's going to be the mid part of the knee, and then of course we want the underknee. So don't forget that we do have a joint here. We need to define that joint with 3 edge loops. So I'm gonna clean. I'm gonna do this, clean it up, maybe angle it a little bit or whatnot, and then go down and then just into the foot. So I'll pause this out, and I'll come back and we'll look at what we have when we're done. Okay, one sec. Okay, and yeah, so I pulled out the leg. Was in the middle of kind of tweaking that a little bit. So got kind of a knee shape at least kind of laid out, and a little bit of like tibia fibula kind of thing going on here, shin bone. Yeah, tried to space it out. Obviously it's a bit crooked. Oh, I spent a bit of time on the leg here trying to get this to kind of angle back, get a bit closer here. Some of that I can adjust after we're done because I'm going down here to the ankle, and this is where I'm going to stop because I'm going to do the rest of this with just an extrude in mind. I don't need the quad draw, so I'm going to finish this off. I'm actually going to close the hole up in here in the bottom and then just extrude faces down. So I'm going to do the foot and the heel the way I normally would. It's a bit harder to do with just loops. So what we're going to do is we're going to cover the bottom, extrude the face down, and then extrude out for the front of the foot. But there it is. It's not great. The shape of her ankles is pretty horrible, but I guess she does have pretty thick calves and ankles. So yeah, I guess that's the reference that I have. So can't complain. So there's the lower body pretty much done. Let me go through and do the foot, and then we'll be done, except for maybe hitting it with a bit of relax or something just to kind of clean the flow up a little bit, and then going back in after the relax because It's going to move points that you don't want to have moved. It will give you an average, but you'll have to go in and kind of reposition because they might spread these out a bit too far or whatever. So, all right, so let's say I'm good here. I'm going to hit Q. I'm going to go to object mode. Let me just hide the leg for a minute. And on the bottom here, I'm just going to, probably just going to append, what am I going to do? I'll just fill it in with append to polygon. If I use fill hole, it's probably going to fill this up and it's going to fill the top up. And I don't know. Not sure what's going to happen there. So I'm just going to go mesh tools. Oops. Oh my God. What a day. Why are you minimizing when I hit the maximize button? Weird. All right, so I'm just going to use append to polygon in here. So mesh tools, append to polygon. And I'm just going to start on any edge. Just click on every edge all the way around. So middle of this edge, and then you can just follow the purple little arrows. They'll tell you which way to go. And in case you forget, you always do this counterclockwise so that the normals are facing out. If you try and draw this clockwise, it will stop you after probably a couple of faces because then the normals will be flipped. And in Maya doesn't want you to do that. So I clicked all the way around. I'm going to hit enter. There's a one solid face. That should be fine for what we're going to do. I don't know why my symmetry is on. That is kind of weird. Let me, why is my symmetry object X pretty weird off? All right. So let me now just we can bring this leg back if we want, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab this face and I'm going to extrude this face. So you can see the constraints are still on. So I was worried that if we hid the live object that it might not still work, but you can see when I hover the mouse over the manipulator still says slide. So it looks like we're okay. So I'm going to go Control E and I'm going to bring back the reference now and I'm just going to hit W. And I don't know what this is going to do. Let's see. I think it's going to want to try and stick to the shape of the foot. Yeah, you can see it's trying to grow out the foot. Oh, well, no, so that's adequate for what we want to do. I'll maybe just undo. I'm going to take it down about halfway and then do another extrude and then W and then just drag it down for the final one. And you can see it's going to give me a straightish front here. I was worried it was going to really blow out, but that's acceptable. So I'm going to leave it like that. Maybe just a side view, X-ray, and I want to just flatten this bottom, which I usually do with the scale tool. So if I bring the scale tool in and I can, right, it's going to scale to the bottom and kind of match to the bottom. And then I'll just move this back a little bit here. And sure, I think I'm going to be okay with that. I hope I didn't overlap too many points. Oh, yeah, no, that's not good. All right. Yeah, I was kind of worried about that. So I'm going to go up to here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the um, live surface so that I can now just do a regular old extrude here. So first, what's going on with this computer? So I'm just going to scale this stuff in. Oh, so let's undo that, undo again, undo again, undo again, undo again, undo again. Now let's see. There we go. Right, so let's undo that. And I'm turning off the live so that I can just pull this straight out. So probably, I don't even know if yeah, sure, let's go halfway. So I kind of did this last loop so it was kind of above the malleoli, the bone that sticks out of your ankle so that I could extrude out of here. So maybe I'll come about halfway down the foot and then I'll do another extrude and hit W and just pull this straight down in world space as well. And that'll be my my starting point, and then I can just extrude out of these faces. So it looks like the way we've got this is we kind of want to use the rotates to kind of get an angle because that's what our reference does. So I'm going to do that. And then let's see, this looks like it might go back in space. Yeah, that won't go? So I have to go faces, grab the faces, and then control deselect right edges. Doesn't matter. Let's pull that down. There we go. Okay, so that's good. And then I'm going to extrude the foot out of these two faces on the front. So into perspective, let's take a look at what we've got here. I can clean this up after, obviously, and then yeah, I think probably these faces here. So let's go face mode. Let's hide this leg here. Let's go object mode. Let's grab this dude. Let's go to faces and not the bottom. And that's what we have. I think I probably extrude out the foot from there. So Control E, W, and I'll just pull this out. And that's going to be our foot for the most part. And let's maybe do that. And then let's use our scale to just flip this. So it's flat right now. I almost want to have it go the other way a little bit, but sure. Shrink it, drop it down, and do another extrude. W. Pull this out. Let's see where our reference is. Yeah, I don't want to go too much farther than that. Side view. And this is definitely down at an angle. And then obviously quite a bit of cleanup in here, but to be honest, I might just use a bit of smooth and maybe turn on the live again and have it stick to the surface and see if I can't get it to do that. And then also the bottom of the foot is only a single face. So let's go into object mode. Let's turn off the reference. Let's turn off our X-ray. So I do have lines here, but I don't have anything in here. So there's no way to kind of shape this face. So I'm gonna, figure out how to connect all this stuff up so that I have a row of quads here on the bottom as well. But that's pretty lumpy. And even if I go to 3, it's not really what I want compared to what we have. So again, it's going to be kind of boring to watch me clean this up. I'm just going to mesh smooth and do a few things and adjust some points. And then again, I'll come back and we'll discuss the final steps. All right, give me a sec. Let me clean this foot up. And we're back. And yeah, so there's the foot. I just divided it up a bit more. I connected up the bottom so that I'd have all quads on the bottom. And I got this nice loop here in the sort of heel area. And yeah, I used the sculpt brush. So that's the regular old sculpt brush. So if you pull that, I have it set to average normal. So you can see you can just kind of grow the surface. I've got the strength down really low. So I just am moving it ever so slightly. And then after I did that, I went to the old smooth brush, right? So smoothing, it just allowed me to kind of push it because I pulled it a bit too far. So then when I came in with a smooth brush, it averages the verts, remember the smooth, and it also loses a bit of volume. So it's just that's all it was. And of course I need to there's a bit of cleanup in here. The flow is maybe not like it's a little bit jagged in there, so I can just go in there and just give it a little subtle kind of relax. But for the most part, not bad. So let me get out of here, Q, and I'm going to, I'm probably going to extrude once here on these faces just to create a knee a little bit. So if I go Control F12, no, F11, there we go. And I might extrude that, so Control E, and I'll just hit R and just scale that down, and then translate it forward a bit. Now, it's going to require, I'm going to have to hit that with a bit of relax and a bit of smooth and all the rest of it just to make it look a little more subtle, because if I hit 3 right now, it tends to, oh, actually, doesn't look too bad. It's just a sort of subtle knee kind of, yeah, it's a little bit chunky. So that could use just a touch of work, but we're not really going for detail here. Remember, we're just trying to make a deformable mesh. The detail is going to be sculpted when we get this deformable mesh back into ZBrush. So that's the goal here. This whole quad draw thing isn't to, make it look absolutely perfect. It's to get the proper topology so that we can lay out UVs and then take it back into ZBrush and add details on top of this, so that when we come back into Maya and rig it, we have a riggable mesh with the proper topology and the edge loop flow, and it's nice and clean and consistent and reasonably light. Okay, so I'm going to go back to one. That's my low res. I really like hard edges on all. You can see how I have some soft edges here because of the extrude and some harder edges up here because of the quad draw. I like all hard edges. That's just me. So I'm going to select the geo and I'm going to go to mesh display and oops, why does it keep doing that? So I'm going to go to mesh display and I'm going to harden the edges here. So when I harden the edges, it just turns them all hard. And I like that. Just I like to see the facets and stuff. If I perhaps don't have the wireframe unshaded on or something, it just makes it a bit easier to see what my surfaces are doing. Anyway, so that's it. And I have miles, literally miles of, let's see, scroll through here. Look at all that history from all that quad drawing. Very, very nasty. So Alt Shift D to delete the history. This is the lower body geo. And one last thing with this lower body geo is I need to mirror the geometries to get the other side. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to double check the midline though. I'm going to just re-snap this center line in just to be sure. So I'm going to grab all the verts on this midline. W, I'm going to hold down X, I'm going to drag to the left, drag back to the right. So that should have snap aligned them all into place. Back into object mode, and there's no history. I'm frozen. Everything seems fine. So we're going to go mesh mirror down here, and in the options, which showed up on the wrong screen. So let me go get them. Here they are. So I'm just going to do an edit reset, and that's it. I'm going to hit mirror and done. Now, the threshold is always super high on these. I don't know why. So whenever you do this, right away, the first thing I do is you can see it glued these 2 points together. I just make the threshold like 0.1. So something quite low. And again, that's going to depend on the scale of your object, obviously. So if I change my background because I can't see my screen, right? That's 1 Maya unit. That's 1 centimeter. So I've set the merge threshold. Every vert within 0.1 or 1/10 of one of these units is going to merge. So that should merge all the border verts, but not merge any of the details. So always keep this as low as you possibly can. And it looks pretty good now that it's mirrored. Let me, oops, wrong window again. There we go. Change my hotkeys. There we go. So that's it. So there we have our new morphable, wonderful topology, all quads. Of course, I haven't checked, but I'm pretty sure I was paying attention as I went along. Some things to maybe tweak the loops for the back of the knees and the legs, the calves, the shaping. Maybe I could accentuate the flow of the muscles in the calves a little bit because these are just coming straight down. But we don't want to get too carried away. She doesn't seem like she'd be a character with a lot of muscle definition. So keeping her kind of soft and squishy is, I think, is fine for the character that she is. All right. The only other thing that to maybe do would be to loop this. I don't know what to call it. Maybe you'll pardon my French, the ass crack edge loops here. So sometimes I'll run an extra one in here just so that we can, shape this a bit better and then just turn it back on itself. And then somewhere under here, I flip it again. But I think we're okay for the geo that we have now, and I don't think we have to really worry about that. I think we're good to go. And that's it. So that's it for this video. What are we at? 44 minutes, including all the pauses that you didn't have to sit through. So that's it for the lower body. I'm going to end this video here. So I've done the arm and the lower body. Those are the two easy ones. The next one up would be to do the torso, which should also be quite easy. And then we have the face and the hand. So maybe what I'll do is I'll jump to the face next in the next video. I think I've had some requests because that is going to be probably the most difficult bit. So this was a nice warm up, getting used to using the tool and how much tweaking has to happen. And so I'm going to end it here, and the next video is going to be the head. Okay, look forward to that. Thank you so much. Bye bye.